State USA is Ms. Cataluna Enriquez.
Cataluna Enriquez loves almost everything about pageants, glitz, the glamour, and now her new crown. From a pageant that not only welcomed her, but embraced her.
The Silver State competition was a great experience to me. It was honestly a celebration of womanhood and diversity and just celebration of being your true self.
But the road to the crown has not been that of beauty queens before her.
Because I always had mixed emotions and mixed experiences when it came to competitions.
In another pageant, not in Nevada, when organizers found out she was trans, everything changed.
I was asked to provide documents that were invasive, in my opinion. Basically asking me to get a letter from my doctor.
She was required to meet with a doctor who had to examine her and certify that she was female before Kat could compete, something not required of anyone else in the pageant. At the same pageant, every other contestant was assigned a roommate except her. She does not want us to name that pageant in this report for fear of jeopardizing her chances in future competitions.
It brought me back to the times where I was just often being told that I'm not welcome.
Kat says discrimination is something she, like all transgender people, must face. Awareness of the transgender community is now Cataluna's pageant platform.
It gives you a higher purpose.
Cataluna says she was scared at first, but she had no issues at the preliminary pageant here in Las Vegas. She won the local title, openly disclosing she is a trans person. She's now looking forward to the next big stage, the Miss Nevada USA pageant in June.
I have a great feeling about Nevada as well, and I'm looking forward to it.
And Cataluna says that change does not come easily and understands that some beauty pageants may not be ready for a transgender title holder. Fox 5 looked at the rules of the pageant that she said discriminated against her, and nowhere does it say that competitors must be born female. We'll keep you updated on how she does in the state competition coming up in June. For now, live at the update desk, Kim Passoff, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to my second live stream of this evening. So tonight, we are going to be focusing on talking about the rules of pageantry and how has that changed. As most of you know, I have my own history competing in the Miss America system and various other pageantry systems. So joining me today to talk about the changing how pageants are changing in our American society and really globally is Rafa Delfin, who is a pageantry expert and runs the website and YouTube channel Critical Beauty Salon. Welcome, Rafa.
Hey, Tara, how are you tonight?
I am doing very, very good. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up your YouTube. And while I do that, if you can give everybody an introduction about yourself and your background and everything.
Yes, sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Rafa Delfin. I'm the director of Critical Beauty, which is a pageant website, and it has been in existence for, I would say, 18 years. And I started YouTubing about a year and a half ago, and I added the word salon to my YouTube channel, so it's called Critical Beauty Salon. So basically, it's a channel that specializes in anything related to beauty pageants. It could be controversies, scandals, anything that revolves around the world of pageantry and, good stuff like that. I mean, who doesn't like to watch pageants, right? So everybody wants to watch pageants, and I'm one of them. So basically, my channel focuses on talking about the latest events in pageantry and all the politics even surrounding it. So yeah.
Absolutely. And as you can see in recent years, there's not even recent years, I mean, with the changing global environment, pageantry has changed along with like the political landscape. And today in America, we're seeing transgendered people enter and win now in the Miss Nevada competition. So this was when Cataluna Kat, we'll just call her Kat,
Kat.
won over in Nevada. She won a state preliminary going on to the Miss Nevada USA pageant, which is a then part of the Miss USA and Miss Universe organization. And the Miss Universe organization has, I believe they allowed transgendered people to begin entering into the competition in 2012 is when they removed the requirement for a naturally born female. So what are some of your thoughts about the changing landscape for the Miss Universe pageant?
Well, as you know, 2012, that was when former President Donald Trump used to own the Miss Universe pageant, and I believe it was a transsexual woman, by the name of Jenna Talakova, who was competing in the Canadian preliminaries of Miss Universe, in other words, Miss Universe Canada. So she was initially barred from competing in Miss Universe Canada because, according to their rules, you have to be a natural born female to be able to compete. However, she didn't agree with that clause, so she hired a lawyer and she challenged that specific clause, and it just went. It was a scandal. It made the news, and then it reached Donald Trump's office, and he said, we're going to look into that. And you know what, Jenna, you're right. I think it's time for us to change with the times, and I don't see anything wrong with transgender women competing in beauty pageants. So let's go ahead and change the rules, and from now on we'll accept even transgender contestants in Miss Universe pageant. So that was a breakthrough. That was one of the breakthroughs that Donald Trump had done as far as creating the way, so to speak, for transgendered women to compete in pageants. And when people criticize Donald Trump for being transphobic, I use that excuse as proof that he's not transphobic. On the contrary, he is for the advancement of transgender people. But a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, he's very liberal in a way. So I think, what do I feel about this rule? You know what? I'm all for it. I don't see anything wrong with it. Again, beauty pageants are private entities. They create their own rules and regulations. They can do whatever they want, with the rules. And of course, some pageants would actually bend their rules as to accept alternative contestants, either for monetary purposes. Of course, pageants cannot survive these days without money. You have to make money. It's a business, so you have to accept as much as all kinds of contestants as possible. That, and also the fact that there's a lot of transgendered women who actually look much prettier than biological women. And I think this woman who won Miss Silver State USA in Nevada, I mean, when I look at her, I could easily say, oh my God, she's a gorgeous woman. I don't even think of the word transgender. I don't see any hint or nuance of her being transgendered, because the way she speaks, she's very feminine. Her movements are very feminine. Her face is feminine. Her body is feminine. She probably has one of the best rocking bodies in the competition, and that's what she won. And she's also smart. She's also very intelligent. So who are we to exclude her from competing in Miss Nevada USA? So let her compete. Just all the rest. Do you agree?
I think of because where I guess more when it comes to transgenders competing in female sports, that's when I would say I would disagree, because there's then a physical
Right.
advantage that a biological male would have in competing when it comes to a competition that involves physical strength. But I agree with you, Rafa, that when it comes to pageantry, there isn't a physical strength component to it. I mean, there's Miss Multiverse, which combines almost like a fitness competition to it. But that being different, every pageant can set its own rules. So I'm with you. I don't see, if anything, being a transgender person would provide more challenges for the individual in competing. But if they are able to exude femininity, now so I don't think it's going to be at a detriment to the other women who are competing. But the area that I would say I would disagree would be in organizations like the Miss America competition, for instance, which is a scholarship organization. So in that case, when it's intended as to provide scholarships for women, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm starting to like, because I want to see more women getting more scholarships and admittance into college. So there's a little bit of a feminist in me when it comes to that. Right. But then again, it also depends on how we define feminism nowadays. But what are you? It's a little blurred. It's a little blurred. But so in that regard, I'm like, if a person, because depending on who you ask, if a transgendered person is even seen or accepted as a woman, then it starts on those definitions. But do you see that? Do you feel that there's any challenges to biological women by allowing transgendered individuals to compete into competitions?
You mean in sports? Or in
pageantry, but you can delve into sports. Yeah. I mean, competitions are competitions, specifically in pageantry.
In pageants, I don't have any issue because, pageants is all about images and illusion. You're trying to create, like, listen, when I go to a let's say a gay club and there's a drag queen performing on stage, and this drag queen looks incredibly like a real woman, whatever that means, from the way she speaks, from the way she moves, from the way she talks, I would say she's a woman. And then, however, I do have an issue, and I would agree with you as far as accepting transgendered women in sports. There's a reason why we have sports for men and sports for women, because men and women are built differently from a biological point of view and physiological point of view. So yeah, I would say that in this case, transgender athletes should stay in their own lane and let the real biological women, compete among themselves. So yeah, it's all about being fair, and it's all about being logical. Really, if I had a daughter, like a biological female daughter, I wouldn't want her to be competing against, let's say, a transgender woman who doesn't even look like a woman to me, and who has all the muscles and all these raging hormones still. So no, it wouldn't be fair. And but with pageants, again, if we're talking about illusion, theatrics, pageantry, images, competing in beauty pageants is not any different like competing in a modeling competition. Modeling competition is all about selling images. Now we have androgynous models. They're very big in the modeling industry. I still have to see the androgynous sort of beauty contestant competing in a female pageant. I don't recall of any. I'm trying to remember if I've seen any pageant contestant who looks androgynous, who could pass both as a man and a woman. But to this day, no, I haven't. But I think in 2018, the Miss Universe pageant did accept its first ever transsexual contestant, Miss Spain. I don't know if you remember. Yeah, Miss Spain. She looked very, very feminine. Although when she wore a bikini, the swimsuit, I could tell that her hips were a little wider compared to traditional female hip, so to speak. And her hands, when she puts her hands on her face, I could tell, oh my God, those hands are massive, So it looks very mannish, those hands. But the way she talks, her movements, the way she sways, the way she, walks on stage, they're all traditionally very feminine. So, she didn't place. She didn't make the top 15. But you know what? The fact that she competed in Miss Universe symbolized the reality that, yeah, transsexuals are welcome in Miss Universe, and eventually, who knows, maybe Miss World, although they still have not accepted transgenders, eventually will be forced or will be compelled to also follow suit. And about the other pageants, I know another major pageant, Miss Earth, I don't think has officially accepted transgenders, maybe because the contest is based in the Philippines, which is a conservative Catholic country still, and where transgenders don't have any rights, and they're still marginalized by the Filipino society. But in America, in Canada, obviously in most countries in Europe, transgenders are very, very much well received in traditional female pageants.
Where do you feel, in a sense, that pageants, though, should draw the line for? Looking at some of the comments, if a man wants to enter into the competition, but in a sense, like he looks very much, it's like pre-transition, but he identifies as a woman. Like, should he or she, the person be allowed to like enter? Where's that line going to be drawn?
That's a good question, because you know what? Again, I don't know if well, you know what? That's a very interesting question, because I've always wondered whether Miss Universe or these liberal beauty pageants will start accepting pre-op transgender contestants. Because heaven forbid, if I were in the audience, or maybe one of the judges, I wouldn't want to see that thing between their legs, which is still obvious.
Because it should be like family friendly.
Well, yeah,
in a sense.
exactly. I mean, it would like really freak me out. I mean, honestly, I don't know. That's a very interesting question. Maybe I should ask the Miss Universe organization about that. Are you willing to accept pre-op, or are you just willing? Are you just accepting the post-op or fully transitioned, transgendered women? But that's a very interesting question. But again, if this pre-op contestant is able to hide that thing very subtly, like most professional drag queens would do, then you know what? Nobody will notice. Fine, go for it. So.
In a sense, though, like how you're mentioning drag queens, and also some of the comments that are coming through about drag queens, do you feel that it will change the pageant, though, into being more of a drag queen show? Because for instance, I judged a drag queen beauty contest. It was the Miss Gay Orlando pageant over 10 years ago, and I had such a blast at the show. But I see a difference between a drag show versus a pageant. Do you think that it's going to start to blur those lines a little bit?
Well, you know what? Drag show for me, when I go to a drag show, I go to drag show to be entertained and to get some laughs. Okay, I when I watch pageants, I go see a pageant because I enjoy looking at beautiful young women on stage, and I want to see them lined up on stage and then doing their poses, walking evening gowns and swimsuits, and maybe if talent is required, I wouldn't mind seeing them perform their special talents and whatnot. But both a drag queen pageant and also a traditional female pageant are both forms of entertainment. I would say I would be much more entertained by a drag pageant than a female pageant. And not only that, but drag pageants, for the most part, are apolitical. They don't ruin the party, so to speak, by blabbering or talking about politics, or the reason why, for me, going to a drag pageant is some sort of escapism. I want to go as far as away from the problems of the real world, and go to some place where I can just be myself, enjoy what I'm seeing on stage, and just have fun. Whereas with female pageants, it's not. They tend to. And I think that's also part of the evolution of pageants, because in the last 20 years, mainstream pageants have become more political than ever before, and much more so, when former President Trump, started campaigning. That's when virtually every traditional female pageant has gone political, and that's one thing that I really don't like about traditional pageants, is injecting a lot of political issues, because I'm there not to be preached upon, not to be moralized, not to be lectured on, what I should believe politically, or what kind of political issues should interest me, whatnot. I don't want that. I want to see beautiful women just perform on stage. Okay, I want to see beautiful gowns. Listen, as a gay boy, okay, that's exactly what I want. When I was a little child, I was 5 or 6, I started playing with dolls. Okay, I had an international collection of dolls, and I used to line them up and pretend that I was the host of a Miss Universe pageant, and I would select who should make the top 5 and who should win the best in gown and swimsuit and so forth and so on. Now, that I'm an adult, that childhood habit has not really gone away. It's still here. It's still here in my being. So, but when you inject political elements in a pageant, it's just not the same anymore. I mean, I get like sometimes bored, and sometimes like, oh my, this is not what I paid to see. Okay, I want to see like pure beauty pageants, and then of course, eventually when pageants started becoming more inclusive, and to me that that made me really very worried. Like, what do you mean inclusive? Inclusive in a sense of what? Accepting plus size women, accepting women suffering from handicap or a disability of some sort. You know what? I don't have any issues with that. But if I were a judge, considering that, I have to decide for myself which. Well, you also have to remember that if you become a beauty queen, you're trying to be a spokesperson for the entire organization, and you're also trying to market or promote a specific product or cause. Now, what are the chances of the public actually being drawn to a girl who's plus size, beautiful face, but the problem is she's heavy, as opposed to say a woman, beautiful face, but who is svelte and looks like a Barbie doll? I mean, I don't remember when I was. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like when I was a boy, I was always drawn to the Barbie doll types. I was never drawn. I mean, in my old days, there was no such thing as a plus size Barbie dolls, but now they have. But even if I were to play with dolls again at my age, I would still be drawn to the Barbie type dolls with big hair, with 90 figure, with long legs. I don't know. I mean, it's something about my gay male brain that dictates me to prefer that particular type of doll, the Barbie doll. And for some reason, that I wouldn't say that's my perception of beauty, because of beauty is again, we could talk about that in another day. But beauty is very subjective. So what's beautiful to you may not necessarily be beautiful to me, and vice versa. Again, there's also like the question of experience and culture and conditioning and whatnot. I guess when I was a little boy, I was conditioned to believe that the ideal type of beauty is Western woman, blonde, blue-eyed, tall, svelte, with big boobs and whatnot. So for some reason, that image has transcended into my being as an adult. So I'm trying. I think the challenge for me as a pageant critic, and also as a judge, because I've judged many pageants before, is to be able to embrace all sorts of beauty, and there are many types of beauty.
Because I think of of what the standard of beauty is, and as you were saying, it's cultural, it's regional. Of what is considered beautiful in America is not necessarily what's going to be considered beautiful like in the Philippines. But when we think of beauty pageants, it's intended to be setting what the standard of beauty is. So now, like I was previously also a pageant director, and with that, I'm receiving applications. I'm deciding which contestants to admit, and I'm evaluating based on their resumes, based on their photos, their modeling photos, and whether if they meet the criteria to be eligible for the pageant. But in essence, I'm also selecting based on, do they fit into the organization, as they are private organizations, and with a message, and whether that person is in line to be promoting whatever that message is. It varies from Miss Earth is about go green and about the earth, versus like Miss Universe is, I believe, pageantry with a cause is there, or I might be missing, switching around my systems and everything. It's been a while.
With a cause, yeah.
Beauty with a cause, but in a sense, like so these pageants are setting what the standard of beauty is and what is considered feminine. So is like what we see going on now, do you think that's a change into the definition of what is considered feminine?
Not only what is considered being feminine, but also, again, what is considered to be beautiful, or at least overall beauty. I'm looking, for instance, I'm looking into the history of Miss World. Miss World is the oldest major pageant in the world. It began in 1951. The first 10 years, they would crown the winner in bathing suit. But now all that, I believe they stopped the swimsuit competition I would say maybe in the early 2000s, the owner of the Miss World pageant is, a very noble older woman by the name of Julia Morley. And when her husband Eric died back in 2000, she managed to transform the pageant to make it more attractive to all sorts of women, not just the westernized type of beauty, but also to dark-skinned women, to Asian women, to South Asian women, to African women, etc. So because of that changes, the pageant has become the world's most popular and followed pageant. I mean, like every year, I think the average number of countries that participate in Miss World is like 130. And I mean, the program itself is kind of boring. I mean, it's not as entertaining or exciting as Miss Universe or Miss USA. But nevertheless, this pageant, if you want to talk about inclusivity in pageants, Miss World is the go-to pageant. So Julia Morley decided to axe the swimsuit competition because she said it's not really significant anymore, because forcing a woman to sashay on stage wearing a bikini sort of like diminishes her being, her essence as a woman. Okay, fine. I don't have any issue with that. So how would you expect the judges, though, to judge a contestant's physique? Okay, well, I have an idea. Why don't we just introduce the athletic swimwear? I mean, the athletic outfit competition. In that case, any woman who's hiding something, will not have to feel compelled to show everything, because she can always wear whatever she wants to cover such and such, imperfection or flaws in her body. And a lot of contestants welcomed that idea, and it became very popular, and other pageants started copying that idea, so forth and so on. So yeah, I mean, there are other ways to judge a woman's physique rather than besides forcing her or requiring her to compete in a swimsuit. So
I think of, as you mentioned about the inclusivity of a pageant and how that there's varying definitions as to what's considered inclusive even. And it's causing, though, from a director standpoint and an organization standpoint, legal troubles now that you have transgendered people who are suing pageants for not admitting them for having in their rule book naturally born female. And so I'm going to pull up the article now about how the Miss United States of America pageant, the state competition of Oregon, the directors in the pageant were sued for denying entry to a transgendered woman from competing into the competition. And so for the viewers out there, in this situation, the judge had actually ruled on the side of the pageant, saying that they are allowed to exclude transgender women. And when I read through this article, I thought it clever is not the word, but they found grounds to side for the pageant to allow them to exclude as a First Amendment right. These pageants have a message that they choose to express for themselves, and so it was protecting their First Amendment to exclude transgenders. Rafa, what are some of your thoughts about that?
Okay, well, again, pageant organizations are private entities, and they have every right to make their own rules and regulations. If one of these rules say, listen, sorry, but we can't accept transgender people, and it doesn't matter whether or not you look like a real woman, we still say no. This pageant is exclusively for a natural born female. You know what? I don't have any issue with that. That transgender contestant can sue, many times, whatever she wants, and spend as many legal fees as she wants. She's not going to win because the government, because that pageant company, obviously their rights are protected by the Constitution, by the First Amendment. So yeah, I don't have any problem with that. Again, I think that's one thing that also bothers me about, not transgenders in general, but the whole idea of one segment, of one marginalized segment of society trying to impose itself on the mainstream society. Listen,
I was thinking about that too.
Transgender pageants are very, very popular in Thailand. There isn't a day that goes by where a transgender pageant or a transsexual pageant in Thailand doesn't happen. There is, I don't know if you've heard of Miss International Queen. It's the world's largest pageants for transgendered women, and they accept both pre-op and post-op, women, transgender women, as long as you sound and you look like a fully, a full complete woman. There's Miss International Queen, which is very popular, and also this Miss Tiffany Universe, which is another very popular, pageant. Both pageants, by the way, are based in Thailand, and of course in the Philippines there are like dozens of them, countless of them. And when you go to South America, in Brazil, Mexico, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, there are countless pageants for transgender women. I think the reason why some transgender contestants are drawn to pageants originally designed for biologic women is because they believe that it's more prestigious than pageants for transgendered women. Maybe because of more publicity, the prize package is bigger. To be able to speak to millions of people all over the world, about your advocacy, your platform. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. And if I were a transgendered woman trying to compete in a pageant, I would obviously sign up first for Miss Universe rather than Miss International Queen, because Miss Universe has far more weight than Miss International Queen. But then again, I think it's a question of trying to appease everyone. The Miss United States pageant that rejected the transgender contestant, bravo to them for not appeasing this transgender woman. And this transgender woman, I wish her good luck. Listen, honey, there are a lot of transgender pageants existing in the world today. I would encourage you to join them, and just enjoy. And again, try not to. I know she's trying to change, the Miss United States pageant, but it's not going to be very easy. It's not going to be very easy. So for the time being, rather than wasting your time fighting a system, why don't you find a system that welcomes you 100% completely for the way who you are? That's it.
Exactly. There's all types of pageants that are out there, from as you had mentioned, for transgendered pageants, and then also it brings me to the next topic I wanted to talk to you about, is about like ethnic based competitions. So for instance, it was difficult before, as in our nation's time, as a Black person to win, for instance, Miss America. We had Vanessa Williams to be the first Miss America. And then, in recent times, we've had a lot, we had just 2 years ago, all major pageantry systems were all Black title holders, from Miss Teen USA to Miss America to Miss Universe to Miss USA were all Black title holders.
Yeah.
And then also, even right now, we had which one am I thinking? Miss Grand International is a now Black title holder as well. But like Miss Black America pageant had also come about, and we have Miss Philippines America. We have all different types of pageants that are there now. Within those rules and regulations of a pageantry system, some of them specify, for instance, Miss Philippines America specifies you have to be it's either 25% or 50% Filipino. And now, so in terms of like, should people like stay in their lane? Are we going to run into situations where, a person can be like, all right, I want to compete for Miss Philippines America, and let's say I don't have any ethnic Filipino in me, which I mean I do, but let's say if I wanted to go compete for Miss Black America and I don't have any Black in my ethnic heritage, are we going to run into scenarios where I can go and sue the pageant? And I mean, I guess I could go sue the pageant. Whether or not I'm going to win is another story. But this type of behavior to challenge the rules and say that, oh, they're racist because they're saying that I have to be Filipino in order to compete for Miss Philippines America. What are some of your thoughts about those pageants?
Well, you know what? The real reason why Miss Black America was founded is because for a very long time, the Miss America pageant had never really taken interest in crowning a Black girl. So, I mean, it was very rare for we're talking about like the 50s, the 60s, or even the 70s. It was not very common for Black women to compete in Miss America because they felt they wouldn't win anyway. So thus, Miss Black America was established is to promote, the whole idea of Black is beautiful, and be proud of your be proud of your skin, be proud of your hair texture, be proud of being African, and all those stuff, which is great. But now that Miss America has sort of crowned, actually, it was Vanessa Williams who became the first Miss America. But when you look at Vanessa Williams, actually, this is when I saw her crowned as Miss America, I wasn't sure if she was really Black, because to me, she looked like a white person, like a white woman. Her eyes are bright. I mean, she has like dark, light green, or almost like blue eyes. Her hair is much lighter, and of course, her skin. I mean, she's lighter than you and me. So I was sort of like confused. Really, she's Black. She doesn't look Black to me. Now, even questioning whether or not is she Black, to some people, to the woke culture these days, would probably think, "Oh, that's racist. How dare you question her Blackness? Don't you think she's Black?" Well, I don't know. Superficially, she doesn't look Black. I'm okay. Well, can she give me more proof that she's actually Black? Little questions like that. But yeah, so Miss Black America began when Miss America for a long time refused or was hesitant to crown a black girl. But now, Miss America has been crowning Black women many times, like countless many times. And they've also crowned an Asian woman. It was Angela, I forgot her last name, but she's Filipina. I believe 2000, she represented Hawaii. She was the first Asian American to be crowned Miss America. And then, of course, you have the first Indian American, Nina Davuluri, from, I believe, 2014. So Miss America, even though the majority of their past title holders have been like Anglo-Saxon heritage, they've eventually, crowned beautiful women from other cultures. Now, when you think about all these little heritage pageants in America, you know what? I don't have any issue with that, because if the whole intention of a pageant is to instill cultural pride or ethnic pride on this person, on this group of contestants, hooray, bravo. Because you're not only promoting your own ethnic heritage, but you're also promoting culture. Like for example, if you were to compete in Miss Philippines America, obviously they would expect you to promote Philippine culture, right? Even though you don't speak Filipino, but nevertheless you're half Filipina, and therefore they expect you to at least know something of Philippine culture, Philippine society, etc. I do have an issue though with the percentage thingy. I mean, like, if I were to compete in Miss Black America, how much Black should I be? Like one drop of Black blood, would that suffice for me to compete in Miss Black America? Or what about one drop of Filipino blood? Would that be sufficient enough for me to compete in Miss Philippines USA or whatever? So I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. So again, I guess everything's subjective. As you know, being Filipino myself, the Philippine culture is saturated with pageants. There isn't a day that goes by that pageants are not taking place in the Philippines. But again, this whole idea of the Western type of beauty is admired by Filipinos. That happens to be true. Well, look at the last two Miss Universe from the Philippines. I mean, they're all what they call mestizas, or mixed blood. Half white and half Asian. So what does that tell you? I guess the Philippines, of all the other Asian countries, has become much more accepting or embracing of other races. And you can be 100% blonde and blue-eyed, and Filipinos will still consider you as a Filipino. And you know what I mean? But to say, I do have, okay, what was that?
A couple years ago, they did have also, even for Japan, which is a very homogenous society, they had a mixed black, Japanese woman represent Japan, who was the contest winner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in 2015, and also this year they have another half black, half Japanese woman representing Japan in the universe. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we're a global village. I mean, you cannot. I mean, who if you're Japanese of pure blood, and then how would you feel if, say, your country is being represented by a woman who doesn't look traditionally Japanese? Would you feel threatened? Would you feel, would all these racist feelings, come out of your being and whatnot? I mean, how would you feel? I mean, I'm not Japanese, so I really, can't speak for them. But again, as a Filipino, I'm so used to seeing like all sorts of people. I'm very used to seeing, Filipinos mixed with Irish blood. I mean, I have like half Irish, half Filipino cousins. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the girls all have light skin. They have like lighter hair, but the guys all have darker skin and they look traditional Filipino men. So yeah, I do have, okay, this is actually, I want to ask you a question. So what do you think, what do you think of, if a bunch of white people, let's say, organize a pageant focusing on the color of their skin and call it Miss White America, how do you think would the public react to that? How do you think the woke culture would react to that?
The woke culture would be like, they would call this is the Miss White Supremacist.
Yeah.
they would call it a white supremacy pageant, but in actuality, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, because if you can have a black pageant, an Asian pageant, if you want to have a white pageant, more power to you. Like all the rules have to be set the same for everybody. So I don't think they organize a white pageant would be a problem. I personally wouldn't have a problem with it. I know that people would have a problem with it because of this wokeness. I mean, how people would react these days, they would definitely take issue with it, which I think is unfortunate, because I think we need to be, we have to be applying the same rules and regulations and standards from one person to the other, as opposed to like, oh, wait, you're allowed to have your own, black people can have their own pageant, but white people can't. You just set the same, you treat people the same way, is what I say.
Black people are still oppressed in America. Did you know that?
Oh, wow. News to me.
Asian people are still oppressed right now because of the Asian hate crime, going on all over America.
Asian lives matter.
People are now oppressed because the world hates us because they identify COVID with Asians right now. So therefore, we're oppressed. Now, going
next
back
thing we know, that they're going to be burning down cities saying Asian lives matter.
Yeah. Well,
please don't, guys. Leave me out of it. Leave us out of it.
In Minnesota, in North Dakota, South Dakota, where there's a huge population of Scandinavian people living, they do have like Miss Sweden America pageant, Miss Norway America pageant, Miss Germany America pageant. Nobody's batting an eye. I mean, the majority of the contestants are tall, blonde, white women competing. Nobody's saying anything about it. But if you replace German with white, or Sweden with white, or Norway with white, then it becomes a problem, because people would think the contest is focusing more on the color of the skin rather than culture itself, rather than ethnicity itself. So that becomes the issue. Everything has become so racist in this country anyway. So why not?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Can you imagine Miss Yellow America?
Oh my gosh. I think instead of taking the direction of calling it like a white pageant, instead include the diversity within instead of Black America, like you can have Caribbean, you can have all of these all the different people that make up what's considered Black, and all the different people that make up Asian, for instance, because by grouping it the way we make it sound like a group is a monolith, and within the Asian race itself, there's so many differences between each of the groups that's the thing when we have it like whitewashed or I guess blackwashed, if that's a thing, but we can be celebrating the unique differences that are there. So it wouldn't be my choice to be labeling a pageant based on skin color, like as you were saying, and then also it really does group people by like the skin color. But I mean, if you want to be, if you're Miss Tiffany Blue pageant, sure. But I think it's also like in a form of like too much of the virtue signaling when it's the focus is really just on what's being said as opposed to like the message itself or the value that it exists there. I want to change the conversation a little bit to veering to another topic that I have on my mind is how I was saying that I don't have so much of an issue when it comes to adults. Like if the pageant wants to accept transgendered people to be competing like in Miss Universe, hey, that's the direction that they want to go in. So my very first pageant that I competed in was Miss Florida Teen USA, which is the teen division of Miss USA. I think if I had a daughter and she was going to be competing, I don't think I would be entering her into a competition that would be having transgendered kids into the competition.
Why? What do you fear?
Not so much like, yeah, maybe it is a fear, but like, or I don't know how to like to be labeling it, but it's because I feel like these are adult issues in a sense. Like I'd have to introduce. Then there's such a variety within the teen group because I was 13 when I was competing and I was up against 18-year-olds also and 17-year-olds. And there's such a difference, that, as a parent, I probably wouldn't be yet introducing my child into those kind of topics. Like, if, what age are you going to have the sex talk with your kids? But maybe as a 17-year-old, at the point that they maybe can have more of an understanding of it. So that would be more my concern that maybe I would just wait till they're older. Then also, you're sharing a dressing room. So like that goes into the issue, in schools when they're allowing in high schools for teens to be using the opposites, to be entering into girls' locker rooms and to be changing. I kind of take issue with that because it deals with children as opposed to when you're an adult and you have a different understanding and ability to comprehend kind of what these are adult topics that I wouldn't want to be exposing a child to.
Oh, I would totally agree.
Not yet.
I would totally agree because that's why again there are different age divisions in all these pageants now, and I think I treat pageants as any type of commodity. When I go to the supermarket, when I buy something, before I purchase it, I always check the label, the ingredients, to see what's exactly in it. If it's organic, if it's fresh, or if it's organic, if it's not processed, then I'll take it, I'll buy it because I know it's healthier for me. It's the same thing with pageants. Before, when young women ask me, Wafa, what pageant should I compete in? Why are you asking me? Well, because this guy wants me to compete in this pageant. Okay, what is this pageant's name? Let me do some research for you. I'll get back to you. Okay. A lot of young people, a lot of women these days do not even bother researching, a pageant system because there's so many pageants out there. I tell them, listen, not everything that glitters is gold. So that's why you have to be very careful. You have to be very, very astute about these things. I don't know if you've heard about the COVID scandal in the recently concluded Miss Eco International pageant that took place in Egypt, 2 days ago. Apparently, a day after the pageant, they found out that several of the contestants have contracted COVID-19. And apparently the pageant organizers did not follow the safety protocol. So they assumed that it was no big deal, etc. Now, when you compare this pageant, Miss Eco International, with the Miss Grand International that took place in Thailand like a week ago, that this Grand International pageant followed the safety protocol. The contestants, when they flew into Bangkok, they had to stay in a hotel and they had to quarantine themselves for 14 days. And they had to take all these tests and whatnot every day, so forth and so on. But the other pageant in Egypt didn't do that. So now, even the owner of Miss Eco International has COVID, and she didn't tell anybody. She didn't tell anyone.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So a lot of, and what's sad about that, Tara, is that these contestants who have COVID now have to stay in Egypt for 14 days. And since the organization refused to pay for their accommodations.
Oh, I knew that was going to come up.
So imagine putting yourself in their situation. How would you feel? I mean, I know how would I feel. I would go ballistic. I would
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
so it's just really, really bad. So that's why, and now, of course, Miss Universe is going to be held in Florida next May. You wonder, will Miss Universe follow the same safety protocol as Miss Grand International did? I want to go to Miss Universe in May, but I'm sort of like, debating whether or not I should go, because the pageant is only 9 days long. Is it really worth it? Not only that, but considering the fact that I have to wear a mask for 2 hours when I fly, when I take the plane, would I be able to handle wearing a mask for 2 hours? I mean, I can't breathe in more than half an hour, wearing a mask. So should I just stay home and watch the pageant from the comfort of my living room? But then again, I'm going to miss all that pageantry. I'm going to miss, hanging around all these beautiful women that I've made friends with, that I've interviewed with in my channel, so forth and so on. So yeah, I mean, on the other hand, they're going to have another Miss Universe pageant later in December, I heard, which is going to be the 2021 edition.
Oh.
So hopefully the pandemic will have been gone by then. And then, we'll see. Now, another question is, since we're talking about COVID thingy, I have a question for you. If you were to enter a pageant, and this pageant requires all contestants to take the vaccine or to get vaccinated, would you take it just to be able to compete?
I personally wouldn't.
The price tag is worth $200,000, Tara. Take it or leave it.
I personally wouldn't, take the vaccine to be entering into the competition. I travel a lot, and so one of my concerns is they're going to be requiring, the vaccine passport to be getting into countries. So I'm going to have to tailor the countries I go visit according to, countries I can visit without having to take the vaccine. And because, here's a my body, my choice kind of thing. And everyone has to decide for themselves, if the vaccine, if they want to take it or not, that's going to be up on them. But for me, I guess how, even if the prize package is amazing, and I've let's say I was able to compete at the national competition, won my national competition, and then the rule is at internationals, I would pass off the title to the first runner up, just because how I personally feel about taking the vaccine. But that's where my beliefs fall as an individual. And if it comes into conflict with an organization, I would stick with what my personal beliefs are over that of the organization. And that's, it would also be an unfortunate situation for myself to have to give up that opportunity. But that's where I say, even if it's a situation where you're an individual versus society, you still have to stick to what you personally feel to be right. So I wouldn't be taking the vaccine to be entering into a competition. I would pass the opportunity to the first runner up if she's willing to take the vaccine for it.
But that $200,000, it could do a lot of good for your homelessness program.
I know. I just have to find another way.
Well,
yeah, I just have to find another way.
Yeah, well, luckily, the Miss Universe organization is not requiring the contestants to take the vaccine. Of course, some contestants probably will not have the vaccine available anyway before they leave their countries to come to the United States. But they do require they do require these contestants to take a COVID test at least 3 days before they fly over to the States. And then once they arrive in Florida, then I think they will have to be quarantined for 2 or 3 days maybe, and then that's where the competition begins. So it's just so, life has become so much complicated, and I find myself constantly struggling sometimes. Is this going to be the new normal from now on? I don't think COVID will ever go away. It's here to stay because it's mutating now. They found several variants of the virus, and with the vaccine doesn't guarantee anything. You can take the vaccine today, wait 2 weeks for the vaccine to boost your immune system, but you still have to wear a mask. You still have to observe social distancing, so forth and so on. Now, if you go into Miss Universe pageant, of course you will have to abide by those rules, because you cannot trust anyone. It's your life.
Yeah.
You only have one life to live, and you have to be really, really very cautious and careful about it. Yeah. So that's probably the biggest challenge that pageants face today.
I think of another scenario, not related to vaccines, but almost on the same level in a sense, is when not Miss Earth. was it Miss Earth? But or maybe Miss World. But a competition. One of the main competitions was held in China, and Taiwan and Hong Kong were like, because China sees Hong Kong, Taiwan as Chinese territories, or their I don't know what the technical term is for it, but you know, a person who is from Taiwan and from Hong Kong sees them as separate and their own nation from China. So when the competition was being held in China, they Miss Taiwan refused to wear the sash that said,
was Miss Earth. Yeah, that was Miss Earth. I remember that. Yes. Yeah.
And because of that, she was kicked out of the competition because she refused to wear the sash. You know, in a sense, when in Rome, you got to follow their rules. But she
the sash they wanted her to wear was Miss Chinese Taipei, or Miss Chinese ROC, which is Chinese Republic of China. And she refused. Listen, my country's name is Taiwan. I'm very proud of carrying the name Taiwan, and I don't think my country is part of the Communist Party of China. So bye.
Yeah. So she gave up the opportunity of competing in one of the world's main international pageants for standing up for what she felt was right, and also what, in a sense, like she knew she was representing the people of Taiwan. So I feel like, having traveled to Taiwan and spent quite a bit of time. I spent almost 2 months there. That from what I gather, people there do not see themselves as China, and they feel very, very, very strongly about that. So I think she did do a service of representing her people in that competition by saying, I'm going to forfeit competing in the competition to,
well, you know,
I would rather forfeit than wear the sash.
Yeah, Hong Kong competed in beauty pageants for decades and decades and decades. Now they stopped competing internationally because of the Communist Party of China. The Communist Party of China wanted Hong Kong to add that Hong Kong People's Republic of China on their sash. But the Hong Kong beauty organization said, no, we can't do that. So we'd rather not compete, instead of competing wearing Hong Kong People's Republic of China on the sash. So yeah, I mean, good for them, good for them. But yeah, it's just too sad. Again, that's one thing that I don't like about pageants, is the politicization. Everything is so political, and you have one communist country in the world who is bullying smaller countries and forcing them to wear, People's Republic of China on their sash as well, even though those countries don't feel like they're part of communist China. So yeah, things like that really, really annoy the hell out of me. Okay, people, let's stick with pure pageants, please. Bring back entertainment, get rid of all this freaking politics.
I kind of see like what you were saying though. I feel like that's what a woke society is now doing to not just like pageants, but
let's
this
organize.
Topic is about pageants.
Tara, you and I should organize a Miss Woke America pageant.
Oh my god!
Like that? Yeah, let's
I don't think I could be in a room. I don't think I could be in a room with that many woke people. I'd explode. So
they would have like different categories. The best blue hair award goes to.
All right. So that reminds me of one time when I was at a BLM rally, when I was live streaming from it, and the crowd was like kind of like jeering and coming at me. One person's like, "Tara, this isn't a beauty pageant," and I'm like, "Well, you wouldn't be able to enter because you got to be a naturally born female." So. But in a sense, like, let's think of the super straight. Super straight.
Yeah.
When because people are saying how some of the woke were saying that if you don't date me, and let's say I'm a transgendered woman, if you don't date me, then you're transphobic. But some men just don't want to date a non biological female.
Right.
And so with the with transgendered going, in a sense, like trying to be accepted as mainstream female, that's not even what I'm trying to say, but be seen as actual like female to it, and then forcing views in the sense of like, if you don't date me, you're transphobic. But some people don't, it's not born out of hatred. Like attraction is very personal.
Exactly. Again, we're talking about chemistry in our brain. You cannot. Why? I mean, I've seen some of the oddest couples in my life. But I'm still trying to figure out how in the world did a 6 foot tall, gorgeous woman end up marrying a Danny DeVito lookalike? You know what I mean? Like, Rafa, it's none of my business. That's human nature. There's something about human nature that is so complicated. Not everything is black and white. There's a lot of gray area. Why are certain straight men or cisgender men attracted to pre-op trans women? Why? There's many of them. There's a market. I mean, there's even a market for type of porn for that. It exists. So how do you explain, teeny tiny men attracted to glamazons and whatnot? How do we know? I mean, there's something about the brain, that I think it's part of our DNA. It's part of our, programming thing. So yeah, it's like love. Tara, please explain to me what love is. Can you give me a logical explanation of what love is? What does love mean, Tara?
Responsibility.
Yeah. Sacrifice, right?
Sacrifice and responsibility, nothing to do with chemistry whatsoever. At least that's my definition of it. But yeah, so attraction is very personal, but also even if a person, when I think of, I find, for instance, the woman that won the Nevada local preliminary, I think she's an attractive person. But if in terms of dating or whatever, sometimes it's not even about attraction or if the person's seen as beautiful or whatnot, but biologically they can't have children. So it's maybe some people feel that, a lot of people actually would feel like that as well. But in which case it's not born from hate.
Stop right there. Miss Universe always prefer a winner who doesn't have a child. Now imagine if the winner is a transsexual person. There's no way in hell she will ever get pregnant. Therefore,
no worries about that. That requirement will never be violated in the rules and regulations.
There's a higher chance for a transsexual Miss Universe winner to fulfill her obligations because she doesn't have a child to tag along with, when she travels, and her attention, her energy is 100% focused on the Miss Universe platform. So yeah. So that's why I don't have an issue with transsexuals competing in Miss Universe at all, as long as they look like women to me. As long as I perceive that my brain cells think that they're actually women. So yeah,
I think I guess maybe this is called conspiracy theory, but in terms of I'm gonna bring out the Alex Jones in me, but when they are. Why are trans women trying to be accepted as biological women, mainstream women? I don't know how to describe it, but that acceptance into being viewed as there's no difference. No, I don't think every one of them, but in a sense, if they and I'm just speaking from observation, but wanting to be seen and accepted as a biological woman. So they're, maybe they change their birth certificate, which causes a lot of problems in the healthcare insurance, for instance. But to be seen as no different than any other woman. But a lot of people will not think, you're a biological man. And that's just like I think of Blair White, when she says a lot of people will never see her as a woman. She is a biological man because you're born the way you are born.
Yeah, exactly. Your DNA never changes. It doesn't matter how much cosmetic surgery or plastic surgery you perform to yourself. Yeah, your DNA will never change. Yeah, but
so when people are trying to have them.
But are you obliged though to tell the whole world about your true self? I mean, if I were to become, let's say, a trans woman, it's really nobody's business whether or not I should, keep this secret to myself. I will only reveal the secret maybe to the person that I really love or to my close friends, to my family. But I don't care about what the whole world thinks about me. If they perceive me as the real woman, then bravo, fine, So I don't have any problem with that. But I don't think that, I mean, it boils down to the person's heart to me. I mean, I judge a person not by the way they look, but how they act or how they behave or how they treat me. So I'd rather be in a room full of, I don't know, manly looking pre-op transsexual woman than, let's say, in a room full of beer drinking, cigar smoking rednecks. I wouldn't feel comfortable being in the same room with rednecks. You know what I mean? Because I have more common with the former group than the latter group. So yeah, even though I consider myself as a conservative, but yeah. So again, it's part of human nature. Human nature is so complex. There's just a lot of uncertainties. There's a lot of gray areas and whatnot. I don't want to spend the rest of my life, creating categories and creating boxes. Oh, you belong here. You belong in this category. You belong in that category.
That's too much. It's too much work.
Life is just too short. Let's just enjoy life for the way it is. Let's have as many pageants as possible. So yeah.
I think that a person doesn't need to be going and shouting their business, but they do have an obligation to tell maybe an intimate partner or a significant other in which that way, because you're in that sense, because you're infringing on their rights when you withhold that type of information, which a lot of people would consider that very pivotal. But I was thinking back to my Alex Jones self is with the acceptance of transgender women as women that can impact, the nuclear family, for instance, because a concept of the nuclear family is to be also having children. And then so these couples will not be able to be having children. So it can be seen as a form of, population control to have it then just accepted into society to have a transgender woman just purely seen as a woman.
Well, that's good because they help curb the population. I mean, the world is already full. I mean, bravo for gay men and gay people and for transsexuals for helping curb the population, I mean, so yeah, I mean, but again, it's a question of, live and let live philosophy.
Yeah.
Again, we only have one life to live. Why are you wasting your time trying to complicate things? Why are you wasting so much time and energy and blogging or vlogging about other people's lifestyles and whatnot? Why can't you just enjoy the present, the life right in front of you? Just carpe diem, baby. Seize the day, enjoy life, make friends with everybody. It doesn't matter what your political beliefs are, your religious beliefs are, what the color of your skin is. Just be yourself. And I think that's what pageants, in a way, are celebrating, is the individuality of every contestant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that.
I'm not convinced, though, that you agree.
I think like for me, like what I mentioned with the sports thing, as it relates to competitions and just that I would want to like having the sex talk with my kids. I would want to be the one that talks to them about what are the different, I guess, sexualities in the world. So I wouldn't be entering my teenage daughter into, for instance, the Miss Teen USA competition if that was within their rules for non-biological, because at that point, because that would also go into pre-op. Right, yeah. And so those are more of the concerns that I would have in a teenage environment, but it's also the same reasons that, not same reasons, but in terms of what age is appropriate to be entering your child into pageants. Some people don't feel that, toddlers and tiaras, they're against the concept of the toddlers and tiaras because they feel like it's making the kid look too sexualized or too adultish, and so in which case they're not going to put their kids into toddlers and tiaras. But then there's other pageants that are natural pageants that don't allow for makeup, and so those ones, maybe I would consider entering if I have a daughter, to entering her into those competitions. And but that's the good thing about pageants, that you have a diversity of different pageants that exist, and they can set their own rules, and people can find the pageants that suit them. But I disagree with when if a pageant doesn't suit them, that they go into it and then sue the directors, sue the organizations, when there are other pageants that will accept them. The Miss Universe organization changed its tune in 2012 to allow for transgender women to be competing. But just because they made that decision for themselves, like the Miss America organization, if they don't want to allow for transgendered women to compete, then I think it's within their right, and they shouldn't be made to change. Even with now what we're going up against with woke culture, and they're going to be slandered to say that they're not inclusive because of these reasons. I think that, if Miss America decides not to allow for transgendered women to compete, then they should remain based in their philosophy for that.
You do realize that Miss America dropped the swimsuit competition like 4 or 5 years ago. What do you think about that? Do you think it was a good idea?
I don't like it. I don't like the fact that they dropped to me, I'm like, this isn't even a beauty pageant anymore. I stopped tuning into Miss America, and I competed in the system for 7 years. That was very much like a big part of my life when I was competing. And I haven't watched the Miss America pageant in years, since it's changed to now, it's not a pageant anymore, it's a competition. But I liked what made it a pageant, and I liked the swimsuit competition. I think that, for instance, America has an obesity problem. I think that we should have a high standard for physical fitness, and the women that are competing in a fitness and lifestyle and swimsuit competition, rather than lowering the bar of what is considered physical fitness, we should be keeping it at a high standard, and what is seen as exceptional, because you have the woman that is the exceptional person in society. So rather than lowering the standards for everybody to meet, I'm not about participation trophies. I think the best should win. So for them to be scrapping the swimsuit competition or the fitness competition to it, because they want to be more inclusive of different body images and everything. I'm like, nope. I think if you should have the body of an athlete and you should work hard for it. I was the swimsuit winner in New York, and for that I was always told beforehand, that I would never be the swimsuit winner, but because my body type wasn't, for it to be the swimsuit winner. But I worked my butt off. And I didn't drink. I didn't, I ate 7 meals a day. Even though I worked full time and I was a student full time, I was at the gym 11 o'clock every night with my trainer. And so I pushed myself so much that I did end up winning the swimsuit competition. And to me, I don't think we should be removing a standard just because we want to give participation trophies to everybody.
Well, yeah, I totally agree. Like, for instance, this last Miss Earth USA competition, they had a contestant whom we consider would be a size plus woman, the most beautiful face, the most charming personality, very stylish, very personable, very warm, but yet she's not your traditional, slender type. But they admitted her anyway. So I was wondering, wait a minute, if I were to judge, how am I going to judge her in the swimsuit category, in the swimsuit competition? Comparing her with all the other ones who have worked tremendously hard. They went to the gym almost every day. They paid attention to their diet. How am I supposed to judge her compared to the rest who really worked hard? And then it dawned on me, okay, well, you know what? Ribbon, trophy, whatever. Everybody deserves a trophy. Everybody becomes Miss Earth, okay, USA. No exceptions and stuff. But I think she made the top 15, I believe. I don't know. If I were a judge, would I really vote for her to be in the top 5? Does she really deserve it? Or maybe I'm including her in the top 5 out of sympathy, only because I feel pressured by my peers. Rafa, you have to put that plus size girl in top 5 so we can attract more diversity. You know what I mean? Okay, well, listen, people, did you not invite me to be one of your judges? So therefore, my judgment should be based on how I perceive beauty according to what my chemicals in my brain are telling me, correct? Unfortunately, I'm not attracted to this plus size woman as opposed to the thin women. I mean, granted, they're all beautiful in their own way, but I cannot see this plus size woman being the spokesperson or representative of your organization, only because there's still a lot of stigma attached to beauty queens who are, I'm trying to find a politically correct word. Help me.
We don't need to be PC. I mean, for instance, Chief Wah, who just said fat is not healthy, so it's not beautiful. I tend to agree with that, because if you're fat, you're not healthy. So in which case we won't label it as beautiful, because if we're labeling something as beautiful, then we make it to be the achieved for standard. And when we have, 1 out of 4 people in America obese, I don't think we should be celebrating it.
Well, you know what? See, that's where the problem lies too, because when I think of A-list celebrities like Lizzo, Ashley Graham, or even Adele, I mean, they all started their career presenting this image of plus size women, but look what's happening to them now. They're losing weight. Okay, Lizzo, I think she dropped she lost like 60, 70 pounds lately, and she looks
Rebel
much
Wilson
better.
lost a lot of.
Adele
Rebel
is
Wilson
thin as a
also.
rail. You wouldn't recognize
Mhm.
Adele if you see her now, And Ashley Graham has lost weight ever since she gave birth to her second, third child. So yeah, even though they might start out, voluptuous or big size or Rubenesque, eventually deep down inside they still have this desire to look thinner, to be thin, so to speak.
Mhm.
Because they know that it's healthier for them to be thinner
Yes.
rather than fatter. So, but apparently, our culture, our distorted culture, has tolerated this form of perverted type of beauty, so to speak. And I mean, maybe it's okay for some people, but to me personally, no. So, if there's a plus size contest out there who wants to invite me to judge, please don't consider me to judge. This is fun.
And
We should do more.
Yeah, I'm starting to read through some of the comments. I wasn't paying too much attention to them earlier. We are hardwired for many years of evolution to seek a mate that has longevity. So our attraction is going to be rooted as to what is considered healthy. Like if a woman, for instance, is going to have her birthing hips, so the shape of a woman is going to be rooted on what is biologically what males think. Okay, this is going to provide me a good, healthy offspring.
Yeah,
so it makes sense.
That explains why African men are attracted to voluptuous African women, with big butt, big hips, and whatnot, because they see a voluptuous body as like the mother type image, very sexy and sensual at the same time. So yeah, I mean, it's a cultural thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember before also when I was competing, and some people would say that when they'd call me skinny, I would actually get offended by being called skinny because it took work to get to the physique that I was at that point, and to be skinny in a sense negates that look, because we alternatively, we don't want to be celebrating anorexia, a person that looks anorexic or bulimic, because that's not healthy either. You from one extreme to the other, there's a healthy zone that you want people to be in, and celebrating that as the standard to what I'm saying. Hourglass figures are pre-wired for birthing mates since prehistorical periods. Let's see. Yeah. And in a sense, when we think of beauty pageants, we think of what is the standard that's out there, and what we can see how they're changing now, and whether or not that's good or bad, that remains to be seen. What in summary, I don't want pageants and their directors to have to change what their beliefs are to acquiesce to this woke society. So if they don't want to allow transgendered to compete, there are many reasons for not allowing a transgendered person to compete, and it's not rooted in a form of transphobia or hatred. It's just the message that they want to be sending out for their pageants.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so,
again, like what I
do you
said,
have any?
No, again, like what I said, listen, if you feel like you want to compete in a beauty pageant, but all these traditional female pageants do not conform to your type, then join a pageant that does, because there's now a growing number of specialized pageants for all sorts of pageant types, So, and that's why rather than pinpointing all the flaws and the imperfections, in each and every contestant, why don't we just celebrate individuality, focus on individuality, and focus on personality rather than focusing so much on the superficial aspect of beauty. Yeah.
And then those other pageants that exist out there, they'll rise if that's truly how society feels about whatever message they're looking to promote. That pageant system will rise fast. For instance, we have Miss Universe is one of the older pageants, but who's the most, in a sense, recent of the top tier big pageant? Miss Earth. I think Miss Earth only came about in the 90s and quickly rose to being one of the big four. So so with Miss Earth being a focus on the environment, people are concerned about the environment. So a beauty pageant that focuses on the environment quickly rose. And that would also allow, a pageant that's maybe not as popular to fall out of power, as opposed to trying to, bully a woke culture, trying to bully a certain pageant into conforming into whatever it doesn't want to be.
Right. Yeah. Of course, I agree, and that, I think that's also one of the hurdles that transgender contestants have to face, is because, I mean, I cannot imagine, like, a transgender contestant being Miss Universe, because usually if you're Miss Universe, you have to travel all over the world promoting the Miss Universe cause and whatnot. I mean, just imagine the situation. How many people do you think, how many children do you think will be drawn to a transgender contestant? Again, it's a cultural mindset. I don't think they're ready. These kids are not ready to see a transgender woman, unless, of course, you can convince these children that you're a real biological woman. But I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, not in a long shot, at least. So yeah, that's why one of the reasons why pageant judges hesitate to crown a transgender contestant in a traditionally female pageant. Yeah.
Absolutely. Rafa, thank you so much for joining me on my podcast today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. And guys, thank you. Be sure to
Miss Universe, by the way.
If it's here in Florida, I haven't really been following the pageantry world too much. But with Miss Silver State's win, I definitely wanted to address discussion about opinions on the channel. But knowing that it's here in Florida, that would be a great opportunity to go and see the Miss Universe pageant. I'd be excited about that.
Hopefully we'll see each other. If we decide to go, Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this
All
chat.
right. Have a good night, guys. Please be sure to check out Rafa's YouTube channel, Critical Beauty Salon, and drop a comment in the comment section, and like and subscribe. All right.
Thank you,
night,
people.
guys.
Have a good night. Bye.